The world is distracted. Elections, wars, and crises fill the headlines. But deep in the Sahel, under the shadow of the desert night, something far more dangerous is unfolding. A single military jet tears through the darkness and lands quietly on the runway in Bamako, Mali. No flags, no red carpets, no anthem, only silence. Out steps General Abdourahamane Tiani, the coup-born leader of Niger. His mission is secret, his destination hidden, his purpose unknown. But make no mistake, this is no ordinary visit. This is the beginning of a night that could redefine the balance of power in West Africa. 2 years after the creation of the Alliance of Sahel States, born from the defiance of 3 men, Ibrahim Traoré of Burkina Faso, Assimi Goïta of Mali, and Abdourahamane Tiani of Niger, the leaders are once again moving, quietly, urgently, and with chilling coordination. The question that now hangs in the air is simple. What are they planning, and why now? Watch till the end and discover the dark secrets of the Sahel States. But before we dive deeper, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it so more people can follow what's unfolding in the Sahel. Bamako, the capital of Mali, has seen its share of turbulence. Coups, protests, sanctions, foreign interventions, the scars of history weigh heavily on its streets. But on this particular night, something different was brewing. As Tiani's convoy slipped through the darkened avenues, residents barely noticed. No cheering crowds, no TV cameras. Just the hum of engines and the shadows of armored vehicles disappearing behind palace gates. Inside the presidential palace, the atmosphere was tense but calculated. Waiting for Tiani was Colonel Assimi Goïta, the man who has ruled Mali since 2021. Known for his stoic demeanor and strategic patience, Goita embodies the silent strength of the Sahel resistance. The 2 men embraced, not as strangers, but as brothers in arms. Their countries share not only borders, but battles, both against terrorism and against the crushing weight of sanctions imposed by ECOWAS and Western powers. Behind closed doors, the conversation began. Reports suggest it was no casual exchange of pleasantries. Instead, insiders speak of urgent matters: strengthening joint military command structures, coordinating intelligence against extremist groups, deepening economic ties to resist isolation from regional and Western institutions. For Goita, Tiani's visit was more than symbolic. It was a declaration that the Alliance of Sahel States, AES, is no fading pact. And for Tiani, it was a signal that Niger, still reeling from sanctions and geopolitical pressure, is not standing alone. As the hours stretched on, whispers grew louder. What are these leaders planning that needs secrecy so absolute, meetings so urgent, and movements so swift? By the time the palace lights dimmed, one thing was clear. This was not the end of Tiani's mission. It was only the beginning. The meeting with Goita in Bamako had stretched long into the evening, but General Abdourahamane Tiani's mission was far from over. As the palace lights dimmed, another operation quietly unfolded. At a restricted airbase on the edge of the Malian capital, engines roared to life. Shortly after midnight, Tiani boarded a military jet. No press, no official announcements. Just a handful of officers and a tightly sealed flight plan. The aircraft lifted off into the black skies of the Sahel. Its destination kept hidden from the world. Inside the plane, the atmosphere was heavy. The general knew the weight of this journey. 2 years after the signing of the Liptako-Gourma Charter, every movement of the alliance's leaders carried meaning. And tonight's flight was about more than diplomacy. It was about proving that the AES is not symbolic, it is operational. Less than an hour later, the jet descended over Ouagadougou, the capital of Burkina Faso. On the ground, the runways were secured. No civilian flights, no media access, only soldiers. The Burkinabe authorities had prepared the night's reception with surgical precision. Waiting at the airstrip was Captain Ibrahim Traoré, the youngest of the 3 leaders and perhaps the boldest. In his military fatigues, Traoré is no ordinary president. He is a revolutionary figure, seen by many across Africa as the embodiment of resistance against neo-colonial control. Their handshake was brief but powerful. There was no need for words in front of the cameras. There were no cameras. What mattered was what came next, behind closed doors. The midnight talks in Ouagadougou stretched for hours. Some sources claim the agenda included joint weapons procurement, the creation of a unified rapid response force, and strategies to secure the region's vast mineral wealth. Others whisper about new diplomatic moves, a Sahel voice that might soon demand recognition on the international stage, perhaps even a permanent place in continental leadership. Whatever the truth, the symbolism of that flight was undeniable. From Bamako to Ouagadougou in the dead of night, Tiani was stitching the AES together, leader by leader, capital by capital, plan by plan. Because in the Sahel, every secret flight is more than transportation. It is a declaration. The alliance moves as one, and it will not be broken. To understand the urgency of Tiani's midnight journey, we must turn back the clock to September 16, 2023. On that day, in the city of Bamako, a charter was signed. It was called the Liptako Gourma Charter, named after the border region that Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger share. But its true name, whispered with awe and fear across West Africa, became the Alliance of Sahel States, the AES. The world was stunned. In an era where alliances are built through bureaucratic meetings and endless negotiations, here were three young military leaders, Goita, Traore and Tiani, tearing up the script. They had seized power through coups, expelled foreign forces, defied ECOWAS, and now they were pledging to defend each other to the death. If you're still with us right now, make sure you like this video, subscribe, share it. Now let's move forward, because the real suspense begins with why this meeting had to happen now. The charter declared what no one had dared say so openly. An attack on one state would be an attack on all three. Joint defense and security would be coordinated, not divided. And above all, the Sahel would no longer bend to outside dictates. For the people of these nations, weary of terrorism, sanctions, and foreign interference, the AES felt like a rebirth. Crowds cheered in Ouagadougou, Niamey, and Bamako, waving flags and chanting slogans of unity. To them, it was not just an alliance, it was hope. But for Western capitals and even many African governments, the alliance was a nightmare. Suddenly, the three coup regimes that ECOWAS had hoped to isolate were moving as one. Suddenly, France and the West faced a new military bloc willing to reject decades of dependency. Fast forward to today, it has been 2 long years since that pact was signed, 2 years of sanctions, 2 years of pressure, 2 years of propaganda campaigns trying to fracture the alliance. And yet, the AES still stands. And this is why Tiani's journey matters. His midnight trip from Bamako to Ouagadougou was not just a courtesy visit, it was a renewal of vows. A signal to the world that the alliance born in 2023 has not withered, it has matured. The whispers from Ouagadougou say it all. After 2 years of endurance, the three leaders are not retreating. They are preparing for something bigger. And every secret meeting only fuels the suspense. What is coming next? The question is not where Tiani went or who he met. The question is why now? The Sahel is standing at a crossroads. For decades, Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso were seen as fragile states, plagued by terrorism, poverty, and foreign control. But today, the stakes are far higher than anyone could have imagined. First, there is the collapse of ECOWAS unity. Once the most powerful regional bloc in West Africa, ECOWAS has fractured under the weight of sanctions, leadership disputes, and its inability to force the Sahel leaders back into line. What once seemed like a wall surrounding the AES is now crumbling brick by brick. Second, there is the military vacuum. With French troops expelled, American bases questioned, and Western presence shrinking, the Sahel has been left exposed. To the alliance, this is both a danger and an opportunity. Danger because extremist groups lurk in every corner of the desert. Opportunity because the AES can now build its own defense architecture without outside interference. Third, there is the global race for resources. The uranium of Niger, the gold of Burkina Faso, the fertile lands of Mali. These are not just national assets, they are global prizes. Russia, China, Turkey, and others have stepped closer, eager to fill the void left by the West. The AES leaders know the truth. Whoever controls these resources controls the future of Africa's energy and wealth. And finally, there is the pressure of time. 2 years may sound short, but for coup-born governments, it is an eternity. Enemies are waiting for cracks, supporters are demanding results. The AES leaders cannot afford stagnation. They must move, and they must move now. This is the backdrop of Tiani's midnight diplomacy. His journey from Bamako to Ouagadougou was more than symbolic. It was a sign of urgency, a recognition that the alliance cannot survive on words alone. It must evolve into a machine, coordinated, disciplined, and ready to face both internal threats and external powers. And so the meetings stretched deep into the night, not out of ritual, but out of necessity. Because in the Sahel, every day lost is a battlefield gained by enemies, and every delay risks undoing 2 years of defiance. The message is clear. The Sahel leaders are not waiting for the future. They are seizing it, in silence, in secrecy, and in the shadows of the night. Preparing for what? That is the question echoing across Africa today. Some believe they are laying the foundation of a new military bloc, one that could rival ECOWAS itself. Others say they are drafting plans for economic independence, cutting ties to Western banks and building trade with Russia, China, and beyond. Still others whisper of something larger. The dream of a united Sahel confederation with one voice, one army, one destiny. Whatever the truth, the suspense is undeniable. In the silence of that night, the Sahel did not sleep. It stirred. It shifted. It warned the world that change is coming. And so we are left with one haunting image. 3 generals, born of coups, moving in the shadows like pieces on a chessboard. Each step calculated, each meeting deliberate, each silence louder than words. 2 years ago, they signed a pact that many dismissed as symbolic. Today, that pact feels more real than ever. And tomorrow? Tomorrow, it may become unstoppable. The only question left is this. When the Sahel leaders make their next move, will the world be ready? Because after last night, one thing is certain. The alliance is no longer a promise. It is a force, and it is coming. The story of the Sahel Alliance is only just beginning, and the next chapter could be even more explosive. Don't miss it. Hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you'll be the first to know when we uncover their next move. And if you found this powerful, share it. Let the world see what's happening in Africa's heartland.